Hello guys, welcome to a new video of the Fischer series. Today we're looking at round number 7 of the Mar del Plata held in Argentina. This is Fischer's second real big international tournament. Till now he has won the US Championship twice. He's 16 years old, but he hasn't really won a big major international tournament. And he's facing Rubén Shocron, and you can see the ELO difference is almost 400, but still this game is so beautiful to analyze. Fischer had 97.7 accuracy, Shocron had like 94%, so they both played almost perfectly. And it's also annotated by Fischer himself in his 60 memorable games, so we'll also see some quotes from Fischer himself. And he actually says Shocron outfoxes himself. Thinking he has seen one move further than his adversary, he provokes a combination, but his vision is one move short. So let's jump into the game and let's see how it goes. Fischer has the white pieces and he starts with e4. e5, knight f3, knight c6 and bishop b5. Going for the Spanish opening. Fischer really loved this opening. Now we have a6, Morphy defense, bishop a4. Knight f6. So this is all theory. Now castles and bishop e7. Rook to e1, now defending the pawn. b5 attacking the bishop, bishop to b3. And now d6. Having this really nice pawn chain and you want to activate the bishop like this. Now Fischer plays c3, still theory. With c3 you're preparing d4 push. And you're also making space for the bishop if the knight attacks on a5. First Shocron castles. Now h3, you want to prevent the bishop coming here. Knight to a5 attacking your bishop, bishop back to c2 and c5. So the purpose of knight to a5 is to attack the bishop but also make way for the c5 push. And now d4. Main line goes queen to c7. So till now they're playing perfectly, only theory. And knight b to d2. So with knight b to d2, you want to rotate the knight to f1 and then to e3, where it has a lot of nice squares to jump into. Bishop d7, knight to f1, rook f to e8, knight to e3, and g6. So till now I went a bit quick through the moves because this is all theory, but g6 is the first kind of sideline. And Fischer says, the Yugoslav system, popularized by Guglielmo and Matanovic. The idea is to strengthen the position and transfer the bishop to f8 while awaiting further developments. Black will undertake specific counteraction only after white commits himself. So the idea is to just bring the bishop in like this, to have those squares available, and just wait and see what white does. So Fischer plays d takes e5, d takes e5, and knight to h2. So Fischer actually says that this positional approach bears the hole on d5, so that white may gain access to it with his knight. So that's the purpose of d takes e5. Now there are no adjacent pawns defending the d5 square. We have rook a to d8. You can see Rubén actually takes control over the d file first. And we will have this discovered attack. So he has to move his queen basically. Fischer plays queen to f3. Now bishop to e6, activating the bishop over those files and also having the rook controlling the d line. Now Fischer activates his knight, knight h to g4. We have knight takes and now we have h takes, which is an interesting move. Fischer here says that black has a new burden, neutralizing the potential attack along the open h file. So Fischer wants to play g3, king to g2, rook to h1 and have this really nice pressure along the h file. So Shocron plays queen to c6 and here Fischer actually goes for a g5. It's a really interesting move. He says the old line, queen to g3, f6 and g5 is good for white. But he says, I always thought my line was an improvement. The idea is to clear g4 for the knight before black can force an exchange with knight to c4. But a closer look at this game shows that black may have resources. So okay, we're clearing a file for the knight, but are we not just giving away this pawn for free? It's undefended now. Well, after bishop takes, we have this really nice line, which is goes knight d5. The bishop is under attack. You have to take. But before taking back, we first give a check. Knight f6 check. King to h8. Rook takes c1. You can see we're attacking the rook, so the rook has to move. But now we play queen to g3, attacking this pawn. You have to defend it. But our plan was not to attack the pawn, actually. It was to gain access to the g5 square with our queen. Because now we're coming in slowly. So you have to play king to g7. Now knight h5 check, king to g8, and we play f4. So this is a really crazy line in which we want to push further. For example, if you take, then we can simply play check, king g7 check, and then, for example, play e5. And now this gets really dangerous. The knight will have a permanent square here, an outpost. So you cannot actually take that pawn. It's a very deep line. So after g5, Shocron actually plays knight to c4. He attacks the knight. But Fischer's plan was to rotate it to g5 and then to f6. So he plays knight to g4. But obviously you don't want to allow white to gain access to this square. So Shocron takes the knight. And after queen takes, now the knight has really done its job. It has to come back to b6, d7 and f8 to defend this critical square on h7. So Shocron plays knight to b6, the best move. Now g3, going for his plan of activating the rook. c4, first Shocron closes down the queen side and also opens up some squares for his bishop like this. After c4 we have king to g2, knight to d7, rook to h1 and knight to f1. So you can see Shocron is actually playing very nice. The defense is really great and he's just in time like this. Because now we don't really have anything here. The square is just defended. Fischer here says that phase 1 is over. Having seen his kingside threats neatly parried, white is compelled to start some action on the opposite wing. So he basically says that, okay, my attack is over now on the king side. Let me start something on the queen side. So he plays b4. And here, I mean, if I can play en passant, I'm almost always playing it. So what happens after Shocron plays en passant? Well, here is actually a bad move because we're just giving this tempo in which we activate your bishop beautifully for free. Well, it looks like this pawn is free now. So what happens after queen takes? Well, after queen takes, we play bishop to e3. Or two bishops are developed now. You're a pawn up, but rook will come to c1, which will be really annoying. So you have to defend it like this. But now we have this crazy move, which is rook takes h7. And after knight takes, we play rook to h1. And you can see this pressure is annoying. The queen is coming. We will definitely take this knight. For example, if you bring the queen back to c6, we play queen to h4. And you cannot play this because then it's simply mate. So you have to give away the knight, king to f8. We take the knight and you can see after giving some checks, we can take this weak pawn. After the king moves, we can take those weak pawns. And this is just a way better position for Fischer. So you cannot actually take the pawn. So after b4, Shocron plays queen to e6. He really wants to exchange the queens off the board because you can see we have this annoying pressure over the king side. But Fischer doesn't go for a queen exchange. He plays queen to e2. Now we have a5, b takes a5 and queen to a6. He will take this pawn back. So Fischer says, okay, you can take that pawn. I don't mind. Let me just activate my bishop then. Bishop to e3. Queen takes a5. And now this really nice move, a4. And here Fischer says that taking the pawn on c3 and a takes b5 would lead to equal play. And you can see the engine agrees. It's basically 0.0. It's a bit better for white, but it's like almost equal here. But here actually Shocron plays rook to a8. After rook to a8, we have a takes b5, queen takes b5, and rook to b1. You can see those rooks are really active here. Queen to c6, but now rook to b6. It is defended by the bishop. So now we have queen to c7, rook b to a6, and Fischer says that he wants to keep control over the a file. So after rook takes, we still have control over this file with our rook. Now Rubén plays rook to c8, and you can see his position is very passive. He doesn't have much here, really. He has to keep defending. And Fischer can start to slowly improve his position. He first plays queen to g4. You can see the scope is way better on g4 than on e2. Now knight to e6, activating the knight. And bishop to a4, activating the bishop. So you can see those two moves were really to activate. Rook to b8, wanting to come to the back rank here. Rook to c6, and in this position, you can see it's really equal. Shocron plays a move which basically loses the game on the spot. Shocron here plays queen to d8. I mean, look at the elo bar, it's just going crazy. Well, why is this losing? I would say pause the video and try to find the winning move for white here. So the winning move here is rook takes e6, giving away the exchange. Well, what happens after takes? Well, after takes, we take back with the queen with check. We gave away a rook for a knight. We gain the pawn back, but the king has to move again and we take another pawn. And you can argue here that those bishops, this bishop will come to d4, are way better than the rook and the bishop here. So after, for example, bring the bishop to d4, we can give a check on h8. We will take this pawn, then we'll take the other pawn. We will start the pawns rolling. And this is just a way better position for white. So Shocron actually doesn't take the rook here. He plays queen to c8. So whenever you move the rook, we will take your queen, because the queen is undefended. So it's actually I understand the move, but there's one crazy move here which makes Shocron resign on the spot. So I would say try to pause the video again and find this crazy move. So the move is bishop d7, and Shocron resigns. Well, why does he resign? Can we not just move the queen? Well, if you take the bishop, we have rook takes g6 check, and we are actually winning your queen. And if you do not take, for example, if you play queen to f8, well, we simply take the pawn, and we just won a knight and a pawn for nothing. Literally for nothing, and this is the winning endgame. So Shocron actually resigned the game after bishop d7. This is a very nasty move. So Fischer won this beautiful game. In the next video, we'll see how he continues his journey. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next time. Bye bye.